Hello and welcome to the Economic Times. This is a special series that we're doing, calling it TV Cricnomics. In this series, we look at the association of brands with India's most popular sport as they look to capture the fans' interest on television. And we talk about it all on brand equity. Nothing else, really nothing else, gets India on the edge of the seats like a closely fought cricket match for the T20 format in particular of the game. Imagine MSD, Virat Kohli, or Rinku Singh, KKR, or even his good friend and now an emerging star, Dhruv Jurel, or even Shriyanka Patil, Jemima Rodriguez, or Deepti Sharma. They're all different stars. WPL is in the second season and is beginning to get a committed following, which is so wonderful to hear for women stars and, of course, their fans. That is where brands, too, would like to step in. And it's my pleasure to welcome Ramesh Srinivasan, Director and Head of Brand Market for PhonePe, joining us today on how the company has reached out to its core audience using television with the focus on the cricket fan. Thank you so much, Ramesh, for taking the time to be with us for this conversation.
Thanks, Ashu. Pleasure's all mine. Glad to be a part of this.
Okay, so let me start with the questions. At a time when a lot of digital-first brands were opting to go the conventional way and leverage largely digital marketing platforms as a medium for growth, PhonePe looked at television as a medium or as a means to scale. For you, tell us what was the thought and what was the experience you had?
Well, Ashu, I think we've actually had a very long-standing association with cricket in general, not just IPL. We've done a couple of World Cups as well. I think from 2019 onwards till today, all the IPLs and all the World Cups that have happened, we've in some form and shape been a part as an advertiser. And that itself is testament to the fact that it definitely gives us handsome dividends in terms of whatever business objectives we have in mind and basis which we do those investments. As far as the medium is concerned, TV versus digital, I think we've also spent and advertised on Hotstar and on Jio, which have been the official broadcasters for IPL and World Cup on digital. But yes, the scale of investments and the vintage of association has been far more with TV specifically. And I think both channels are very different. They offer very, very different kind of advantages to an advertiser. But I think one thing which definitely stands out for us when it comes to deciding how much to invest on TV, especially on cricket, is the fact that the audience at any point in time is one to many. So and cricket typically in India is a household family primetime viewing, right? So every spot on TV allows you to actually have a conversation, not just with the primary or the avid cricket fan in the family, but the entire household at once. And that's the premise on which TV any which ways works. Digital, on the other hand, gives you very, very sharp targeting on the specific consumer cohorts you want to sort of attract. But yes, and I do believe digital, if I'm being fairly honest, digital has a lot of advantage in terms of sharp targeting, but it still has a little bit of a distance to cover when it comes to giving advertisers the tools to be able to know who you are targeting and the kind of impressions that are being served. So there is some distance to be covered, and I think both Hotstar and Jio are doing fabulous tech around that to sort of be able to garner the kind of investments from brands.
So that 2023 ICC Cricket World Cup, PhonePe was very, very visible on television.
I'm glad to hear
the
that.
tournament recorded its highest ever viewership on television in that format. So being an integral part of the tournament's broadcast, the entire plan, what spectrum of impact did you witness through that association?
So, I think 23 World Cup was a very big one for us as well, because this was probably one of the very few times we've gone out under the same banner, which is PhonePe, but gone out with two very different, in fact, three very different offerings to the consumer. So there was one entire campaign which was built on we were launching a health insurance product at that time. Uh,
Mhm.
and then there was another campaign which was built purely for the payments offerings, which was interoperability and RuPay CC, right?
Mhm.
So we were also fairly nervous and as to how it's going to play out. Two very different campaigns from the same brand, playing at the same time to the same audience, and that too at scale. Definitely gives you the jitters. But I'm glad it was well received and it was also fairly visible, like you said. Uh, I think what we typically look at
Mhm.
from your typical ROAS or ROI perspective are a bunch or a battery of things. On the business side, there'll be very specific objectives that we want to sort of latch onto for each of the uh, pieces we spoke of.
Mhm.
On the mind measures, I think we're in a category now where happy and proud to say that PhonePe is now fairly well known. The awareness is fairly high. So I think we've moved on to slightly more evolved mind measures that we sort of track,
Mhm.
which could be on specific imagery parameters. How is it being perceived in a certain cohort? And there's a lot of pre, during, and post research batteries that we do to sort of make sense of all of it. And I think the impact has been fairly well registered on the mind measures as well as the business. So I think it's been a good quarter for us, that one.
Okay, so since you mentioned IPL and the association, from challenging the leader to gaining leadership, the growth has been swift for you, pretty rapid, I would say.
Mhm.
So, as an emerging brand back then to where you're now, how has the objectives of the association with IPL on television evolved? What would you say to that?
Uh, Very pertinent question, and also something we internally ask each other every time we do decide to be on cricket as to after a while, does IPL what does IPL do for a brand? I think when we were starting, and this predates my time at PhonePe, the first edition we did was in I think 2018. And
Mhm.
at that time, I think for the first 2 or 3 years, Ashutosh, the idea was to get awareness at scale. And
Mhm.
the stated objective, which we've spoken very openly and proudly in all our media, is was at that time was to become a household name for payments, right? I think with about 510 million registered
Yeah.
users now, we're definitely doing well on that one. Still a lot of distance to cover. But I think after 21, for brand PhonePe on the payment side, I think the utility of IPL probably was not so much on awareness, but
Mhm.
as to how you are able to uh, give very differentiated payment offerings and how do you do product marketing versus brand marketing. So that's
Mhm.
the intent. And then sometime around that time, towards the end of 21, is when we started advertising our insurance offering.
Mhm.
So while it's still housed under the PhonePe brand, it was still very early days for us. And to be able to not just get the word out that we also do insurance, but also to be able to create a second peg in consumers' mind that PhonePe is not just payments, but then
Yeah.
we are a very serious player in insurance also. So I think IPL for the next two editions helped us build our awareness on insurance,
Mhm.
right? So I think
Mhm.
that's how we've leveraged it. I think it's a fantastic platform for getting reach and awareness at scale in a very compressed, very compressed window. Uh, I've
60 days
always
now.
asked myself this question, Ashutosh, that if not IPL, what other avenues do advertisers have to build or get that kind of effect in a very crunch time, right? And there are very few platforms which sort of eclipse that. So I think it is very expensive. It's getting dearer and dearer by the year. But for any brand out there who's looking to build instant connect, has offering which appeals to the mass at a population scale, should definitely consider it.
I know you follow test matches more, so the riveting India-England series is over.
Yeah.
As a cricket fan, what will it take for your day at one of the T20 matches that you'll be watching on the television screen? So T20 happens, the IPL happens, the World Championship, the T20 World Championship happen as well.
I'll give you a very selfish brand manager answer on that. I'm not a cricket fan answer, but I think with every campaign, it's just so much labor of love, effort, and work by the entire team and our extended partners that you very early on know how it is shaping. But there's something very weird that happens with me that till the day the campaign is released and people have seen it, I am just not able to make out ये अच्छा है, ये बुरा है, लोगों को अच्छा लगेगा, नहीं लगेगा. So what I do is, the day the campaign launches, I go after work, sit at a bar, just watch the ads play on TV, and just look at people watching those ads, random strangers, just seeing their reactions, right? So I think a great day for us is when that first day of the campaign is received very well on TV, on cricket, on IPL, on World Cup, wherever it is. Outside of that, wishful, but if I've grown up on cricket, seeing Sachin, so Sachin is cricket for me. So wishful thinking, but in some form and shape, if I do get to see Sachin in any of these tournaments, batting again, even if it's just a charity match, that'll make my day.
Okay, thank you so much, Ramesh, for taking out the time. Wonderful speaking to you, and hope you get to achieve or see your dreams of meeting Sachin in person soon enough.
Someday, hopefully. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you.
Bye.